Welcome to smartAPI Editor. I wanted to show you how to start documenting your API using the smartAPI Swagger editor. I'm going to use Reactom API as an example. First, go to the File menu and select New. This provides you with a step-by-step guide to create your API document. This editor provides auto-suggestion functionality. You can either start typing or press Ctrl space. Please be aware that this document will be in YAML notation and it's sensitive to indentation, so try to follow our instructions here. First, insert info block to add general information about your API. As I mentioned, you can either press Ctrl space to get all the options or just start typing info. And you get the snippet to fill out. The title will be Reactom API. The description I can copy, and terms of service is usually a URL. Then I need to add the contact info. The responsible organization is reactom.org. Responsible developer Reactom team. URL reactom.org. And email help@reactom.org. You can add more optional metadata for contact. If you press Ctrl space, you see all the other options. Then I need to add host, which is reactom.org. And then I need to add the base path, which is this. Need to make sure that the slash is in the beginning. Then I need to add the schemes, which can be HTTP, HTTPS, or both. Now, as you see, as we add the metadata based on these instructions on the left-hand side, the errors on the right-hand side resolve gradually. Now we have this error missing required property path, which also is mentioned in the instructions on the left-hand side. Insert path block to add metadata about your path endpoint. So I add path, and this walks me through adding path and parameter information. So it says insert the path snippet, which I add, and then it wants me to choose a name for the path. I'm going to use this path and put the entire thing in quotation. Now it wants me to add the HTTP operation snippet. Put the cursor right under the pound sign, and Control space gives me all the HTTP operations, and I choose get, provides me with the snippet, and then the summary of the operation will be query for a list of pathway participants, and a more detailed description. Now I want to add the parameters. So it wants me to add the parameter snippet. The name of the parameter will be this, in quotation. The location is in the path. The description of the parameter is that it's a pathway database identifier. And as an example, I can put this identifier. it's required, so I say true. The type is integer. And as you see, all the errors here are gone, and I'm actually ready to try the operation that I documented here. So I say try operation. I add an identifier here because it's required, and I send a request, and I get the response back. So the operation works. You can add more path or operations under path block. What I suggest is that if you want to add more path, add it on top of the current one so that it would be easier to maintain the indentation. For example, if you want to add this path, then add it here. So control space path, and then control space the operation. Then the summary of the operation is get the pathway hierarchy. And the description. And then adding parameters, control space parameter, the name, species, so it can be species should be the same. The location is in path, and the description of the parameter is full species name with some examples. And it's required, and the type is string. And as you see, this path is also added. All right. So when we are done with adding all the information to the document and see what are extra metadata that are recommended for you to increase the API interoperability. There's also a link to the smartAPI specification, so you can see why these extra metadata are important for increasing API interoperability. For example, you see parameters, parameter type, and parameter value type, which can be added under the parameter here. So for example, if I add parameter type and I say like input parameter, then I can update this list and it's removed from the list. So you can add the recommended smartAPI metadata to increase the API interoperability. So once you are done with documenting your API, then you would be able to save the API into our repository. So you would click Save button, and it says your API document is saved.